immigration and stop turning Poland into Ukraine. Japanese lawmakers voted on Monday for Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba to stay on as leader after his scandal-tarnished coalition lost its parliamentary majority in a lower house election last month. Amazon is developing smart eyeglasses for its delivery drivers to guide them to, around, and within buildings, which tries to smooth out the final stretch of the journey to a customer's home. The VOA's international edition continues. Steve kHz in Washington. President-elect Donald Trump is getting to work setting up his cabinet and a team of White House staff and advisors. Alex Cohen of Reuters reports. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is continuing to put together his team to serve with him when he returns to the White House in January. He's expected to tap immigration advisor Stephen Miller as White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. And Trump confirmed that he chose Republican Representative Elise Stefanik to serve as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Miller's appointment is according to a CNN reporter's post on X Monday, which Vice President-elect J.D. Vance appeared to confirm in a separate post on the platform. Reuters could not independently verify this. He replaced the architect of Trump's restrictive first-term immigration agenda in a top position. Miller was a White House senior advisor for policy during Trump's first term in office. He played a key role in policies including constructing a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, banning people from certain Muslim-majority nations and elsewhere, and a contentious 2018 border policy that separated thousands of migrant families. Trump was elected to a second term after promising to deport record numbers of immigrants in the United States illegally. The president-elect called his UN ambassador Stefanik an incredibly strong, tough, and smart America First fighter in a statement shared with Reuters on Monday. The New York representative and House Republican Conference chair has been a fierce Trump ally. The United Nations has been planning for Trump's return, as well as likely cuts to U.S. funding and engagement with the world body during his second term as president. That's Reuters' Alex Cohen reporting for us. Meanwhile, across the country from Washington, Trump's supporters in California, the state that went for his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, have been celebrating Trump's presidential election victory. This comes, though, as the state's Democratic governor has called for a special legislative session to protect the state's progressive policies from a Trump presidency. VOA's Jeannie DeLute has the story.
Dozens of flags, tires, plates, even shoes. California retired U.S. Marine Jerry Piatti carries Donald Trump's name on nearly everything he owns. Supporting Trump as an outsider from Washington's political elite, Piatti has been advocating for the Republican candidate for the last 8 years.
What a release it was just because without that, there's no other place to go. This is the last bastion we got. America's the only place we got to go. Where else can we go? So this is very important for us.
Trump supporters in Los Angeles this past weekend celebrating the victory filled with noise and flags, Griffith Park, Hollywood Boulevard, even Santa Monica Pier. A California Republican couple, Rebecca and Roland Casey, with joy mixed with grief. They are mourning Roland's two nephews and a cousin who recently died from a fentanyl overdose.
It's killing a lot of blacks. And not just blacks, but my family. That was 3 family members of mine that I love dearly, that I helped raise, and then now they're not here anymore because of fentanyl coming from China to Mexico and to the United States. We know that the borders, they must be shut down, and you have to have secure borders. If you don't have secure borders, you don't have a nation.
Rebecca Casey says they were hoping Trump would be elected in 2020.
But it happened this way.
Yes.
You know, he was president for 4 years, and I really believe that a lot of things just had to be exposed. The Lord allowed him just to take a sit down for a minute, which he didn't stop even then. We were following him every step of the way.
California Governor Gavin Newsom last week asked the state's legislature to increase legal funding to defend California from potential Trump White House attacks on abortion rights, electric vehicle regulation, immigration policies, and federal disaster aid. Michelle, another Trump supporter who, despite her candidate's victory, did not want to give her last name, fearing it might affect her job in Hollywood entertainment, said she believes that more Californians might choose the Republican Party come next election cycle.
Once he gets into office, like really into office, I think so many people are going to just be living their best life.
2020 presidential elections, 63.5% of Californians voted for Democratic nominee Joe Biden versus 34.3% for Trump. In 2024, Harris got 58.2% and Trump 38.9%. The last time a Republican presidential candidate won California was George H.W. Bush in 1980 in Los Angeles.
Turmoil in Haiti continues as the Transitional Presidential Council appoints a new prime minister. Reuters' Rachel Judah has more.
Haiti's prime minister has been ousted after just 6 months in the role. The country's Transitional Presidential Council appointed entrepreneur and former Senate candidate Alex Didier-Fils-Aimé to replace Gary Conille on Monday. The shake-up is the latest blow to political stability in the Caribbean nation, which is struggling through a severe security and humanitarian crisis. Armed gangs have gained control of most of the capital, Port-au-Prince, and have expanded to nearby regions, fueling hunger and forcing hundreds of thousands from their homes. Conille, who also briefly led the country over a decade ago, had been appointed in May in the hope of restoring stability. In a letter circulating on social media, Conille criticized the council, saying it only had the power to appoint a prime minister and not to dismiss one. In recent weeks, Conille has embarked on trips abroad to the United Arab Emirates and Kenya to seek security assistance. Although the UN has authorized an international force to help Haiti's police take back control from the gangs, the mission has been poorly resourced and produced scant results. The UN's World Food Programme said last month the total number of displaced people in Haiti was now more than 700,000. WFP also said roughly half the population, almost 5.5 million Haitians, are suffering from acute hunger, with pockets of famine-level hunger being reported among internally displaced people.
Rachel Judah of Reuters reporting. And now to South Asia. In Calcutta, India, the trial is underway of the man accused of brutally raping and killing a young doctor in August. It's a case that sparked nationwide outrage over the way women are treated. Alice Rizzo of Reuters has that story.
The trial of a police volunteer accused of raping and murdering a doctor at an Indian government hospital began on Monday. The murder sparked outrage and huge protests over the lack of safety for women in India. India's federal police said that the woman's body was found in a classroom at a hospital in Kolkata on August 9. Police volunteer Sanjay Roy was arrested for the crime, police said. Charges were drawn up last week. Roy said he was innocent and being framed, local media reported. The case has reignited criticism of India's full record on women's safety, despite the introduction of tougher laws. It also shines a light on the poor infrastructure and security of government hospitals in India, many of which lack basic facilities, such as restrooms, doctors, TV cameras, and security personnel. Around 128 witnesses will be examined during the trial in North Bengal State, court sources told Reuters. Authorities are looking to fast-track the high-profile case, and hearings will take place daily. It will not be open to the public. One source, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the father of the alleged victim gave evidence on Monday. India's federal police also arrested the officer in charge of the local police station and the superintendent of the hospital for allegedly tampering with evidence as well as financial irregularities.
Reuters' Alice Rizzo reporting for us. Back in the United States now, but it is a story connected to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Anna Wiebe moved to the United States from Ukraine 25 years ago. 4 of her Ukrainian relatives fled the country and joined her after Russia invaded in 2022, and they settled in North Carolina. But then Hurricane Helene arrived. Raphael Sakov has the story, narrated for us by Anna Rice.
We used to farm here. Winter squash, basil, garlic, We had all kinds of things here. At some point, potatoes.
Ukrainian native Anna Wiebe has lived in North Carolina for over 20 years. After Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, her mom, sister, and her sister's husband and son came to join her. But when the remnants of Hurricane Helene caused massive flooding in late September, Wiebe's Ukrainian family was among the over 100 North Carolinians killed.
So water was rising from here and there, and from the side. They couldn't get out in the woods. We got back again here, and the water still was high, but I already could see that obviously if they was here, I would be able to see the building or house. And I just got numb, and I was like, I don't see them, they're gone.
The trailer where they lived sat here on the banks of the South Toe River until flooding from Helene swept it away.
It was a flood zone, and it was raised up 5 feet up from the ground on a cement concrete blocks or whatever, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful spot, nothing like what you see right now.
Search groups found the bodies of Anna's sister, 42-year-old Anastasia Novitny-Segin, and her husband Dmitro. Her 73-year-old mother Tatiana, who was sick and bedbound, as well as her 13-year-old nephew Evgeny, were never found.
What is sad to me is that, they escaped the Kherson in Ukraine, and they went through a very hard time to get here. And a lot of people helped them to get here. And it's just sad I couldn't keep them safe here. So I feel that probably my fault.
Wiebe's husband Ryan shot this video from her home's porch on September 27th at 8:54 a.m. The first floor of the family home got completely flooded. Windows got smashed. One of the walls gave way to water. As the family was trying to escape, Wiebe kept thinking about her relative. At the time, there was already no cell connection. Today she remembers how her mom had asked to be buried in Ukraine.
I was thinking about that just recently because my mother was already in hospice and they asked those questions. And we come up with that she wanted to be cremated. Some part of it she wanted to be spread around here. And part of it to go back to Ukraine.
Wiebe hopes to fulfill that request after she processes her loss. The storm is estimated to have caused over $50 billion worth of damage across the state. The Wiebe family is hoping for help, but has started a GoFundMe page to help start rebuilding their home. The family has raised over $49,000, but none of that will bring back Anna's loved ones. For Rafael Salaka from North Carolina, Anna Rice, VOA News.
And that'll wrap it up for today. This has been International Edition on the Voice of America. On behalf of everyone here at VOA, thanks for joining us. For pictures, stories, videos, and more, follow VOA News on your favorite social media platform and online at voanews.com. In Washington, I'm Steve Karish.
Welcome to Learning English, a daily 30-minute program from the Voice of America. I'm Katie Weaver.
And I'm Mario Ritter Jr. This program is designed for English learners, so we speak a little slower and we use words and phrases especially written for people learning English. On today's show, we report on Japan's space program and unusual farmers in Mexico on a Mateo presents the Health and Lifestyle Report. And finally, the lesson of the day. But first,
an experimental satellite made out of wood has been launched into space. Japanese developers of the device say it is the first time a wooden satellite has ever been sent to space. The small satellite, called Lignosat, launched aboard an uncrewed Cargo Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station, ISS. The satellite will later be released into orbit about 400 kilometers above Earth. The satellite was built in the form of a box with each side measuring about 10 centimeters. It was developed jointly by researchers at Kyoto University and Japanese home builder Sumitomo Forestry. A spokeswoman for Sumitomo Forestry told the French news agency AFP that the launch of the satellite was successful. She said the plan calls for the device to be released into orbit in about a month, when its strength and effectiveness will be tested. While made mostly of wood, Lignosat contains electronic elements that will control its movements and collect data on its operation. Once deployed, the satellite is expected to remain in orbit for about 6 months. The main goal of the experimental satellite is to see whether wood material can be used to build additional satellites or other space equipment. Wood is considered more environmental friendly. This is because it can just burn up when re-entering Earth's atmosphere. Satellites and other materials made of metal can release polluting particles into the air and oceans upon re-entry. International officials have already identified space junk as a growing problem. This includes things like dead satellites, lost pieces of equipment, or small pieces of paint. Such objects can present threats to spacecraft and satellites operating in space. Takao Doi is an astronaut who has flown on past space missions and studies human space activities at Kyoto University. He told Reuters he thinks wood can greatly improve future stays for long-term space travelers. With timber, a material we can produce by ourselves, we will be able to build houses, live, and work in space forever, Doi said. He added that the experiment is designed to demonstrate the abilities of wood to serve as a suitable material for developing future space equipment. Early 1900s airplanes were made of wood, said Kyoto University forest science professor Koji Murata. A wooden satellite should be feasible too. Murata noted that wood can last longer in space than on Earth because water or oxygen cannot burn or destroy it. Doi said it is possible metal satellites could be banned in the future. If we can prove our first wooden satellite works, we want to pitch it to Elon Musk's SpaceX. The team said a 10-month experiment aboard the ISS found that hanoki, a native tree in Japan and traditionally used to make sword covers, is well suited for spacecraft. Lignosat is made of hinoki as part of a traditional Japanese crafting method that does not use screws or glue. Kenji Kariya is a leader at Sumitomo Forestry Tsukuba Research Institute. He told Reuters the wooden satellite will also test the ability of the material to reduce the effects of space radiation on semiconductors. It may seem outdated, but wood is actually cutting-edge technology as civilization heads to the moon and Mars. Korea noted that expanding into space technologies could support the timber industry. I'm Brian Lynn.
Several large lakes once surrounded Mexico City. Those lakes have disappeared over the years. But what is left of one of them is still important to local people who grow food. Cassandra Cardono works in her family's chinampa. In Mexico, a chinampa is an island that was built up by the native Aztec people with fertile mud from the bottom of lakes that surrounded their capital. One of the areas is called Xochimilco. The islands there are held together by a kind of willow tree planted around their edges. Narrow waterways connect them. Xochimilco has more than 1,000 hectares of protected land owned by generations of local chinamperos, as those who farm on the islands are known. Food grown on these islands has fed people for hundreds of years. But the chinampas are under threat from modern ways of life. Growing food on the chinampas does not make much money. Many families are giving up the old ways to rent out or sell their land. They have found it easier and more profitable to use the land for soccer fields and tourism. People don't want to farm anymore, and people don't want to buy the products, said Garduño. Some of those who stay, like Garduño, are working together to save and support the traditional use of the chinampas. Garduño remembers seeing her grandparents' chinampas as a child. Even then, she saw how the chinampas were suffering under pressure from modern life. Some farmers had already given up. Garduño bought land for her own chinampa in 2020. She grows several crops, including sunflowers, eggplant, and the Mexican marigold. She is a member of the growing collective called Chinampa Refuge. The National Autonomous University of Mexico started the collective. With other farmers in the group, she has asked other chinamperos to preserve their land. They follow old ways of growing, but they are also trying new commercial methods to compete with low-cost goods grown on big farms in Mexico. Their products include a special tag, Etiqueta Chinampera, that tells buyers the produce came from a chinampa. The tag also might bring attention to the area's water quality or the chinampa's status as a biodiversity refuge. 63-year-old Juan Avalos and his brother Salvador Gonzalez Avalos, who is 55, have been working on chinampas all their lives. Salvador said they want to pass their farming methods on to their grandchildren. That's something we need to work on as grandparents, he said. They integrate themselves with a taste for this earth. I'm Joe Robbins.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health and Lifestyle Report.
As fall and winter come to some parts of the world, daylight hours grow shorter. This lack of light can cause seasonal depression. It is a feeling of panic, fear, anxiety, and dread all in one, said Germaine Pataki. The 63-year-old woman living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, is among the millions of people estimated to have seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. To deal with her condition, Pataki uses yoga, walking, and an antidepressant medication. She is also part of a Facebook group for people with SAD and helps others deal with the condition. Pataki said, "This gives me purpose." People with SAD usually have depression that begins in the fall and eases in the spring or summer. Changing the clocks back to standard time, which happens in autumn in the United States, can also cause SAD to start. Medical experts say there is a milder form called subsyndromal SAD. There is also summer seasonal depression, but less is known about that. In 1984, a team led by Dr. Norman Rosenthal, then a researcher at the National Institutes of Health, first described SAD. He invented the term.
Scientists are still learning the causes of seasonal affective disorder. They have found that specialized cells in our eyes turn the blue wavelength of the light into neural or brain signals. These signals affect mood and wakefulness or alertness. Sunlight has a lot of blue light. So, when the cells sense this blue light, the alertness centers of our brains turn on. We feel more alert and possibly even happier. Catherine Rockline is a researcher at the University of Pittsburgh. She tested people with and without SAD to see how their eyes reacted to blue light. As a group, people with SAD were less sensitive to blue light than others, especially during winter months. That suggests a cause for wintertime depression. In the winter, when the light levels drop, that, combined with a lower sensitivity, might be too low for healthy functioning, leading to depression, Rockline said. Miriam Cherry is 50 years old and lives in New York State. She spent the summer planning how she would deal with her winter depression. It's like clockwork, Cherry said. The sunlight is low, the day ends at 4:45, and suddenly my mood is horrible.
Many people with SAD respond to light therapy, said Dr. Paul Dazan of Yale University's Winter Depression Research Clinic. The therapy devices give off light about 20 times brighter than regular indoor light. The first thing is to try light, Dazan said. When we get patients on exposure to bright light for a half an hour or so every morning, the majority of patients get dramatically better. We don't even need medications. There is research that supports the idea that using a light that has a brightness of about 10,000 lux can be helpful. Lux is a measurement of brightness. The research suggests that a person use it for 30 minutes every morning. Dizon said this can help not only people with SAD, but also those with less severe low moods in winter.
Experts suggest other forms of treatment. Doctors often suggest antidepressant medications as a first-line treatment for SAD. They also suggest going to bed and waking up at about the same time each day. Also, exercise such as walking outside, even on cloudy days, can help. Kelly Rowan is a researcher at the University of Vermont. Rowan said another treatment is talk therapy, also called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Rowan said it has been shown in studies to have more long-lasting effects. CBT involves working with a therapist to identify and change unhelpful thoughts. A very common thought that people have is, "I hate winter," Rowan said. She suggests that people instead say, "I prefer summer to winter." Working with a therapist can help people take small steps toward having fun again, Rowan said. Try planning on demanding but enjoyable activities to break out of a bad mood. Rowan said simply meeting a friend for coffee can help.
People with SAD have half the year to create helpful methods. Some have found things that work for them, although they might not be the subject of scientific research. For example, in Folsom, California, Elizabeth Westcott says she believes a kind of water therapy helps her. A 69-year-old uses water therapy used in sports medicine. When she showers, she changes between hot and cold water. She also uses a light box and takes an antidepressant. "I'm always looking for new tools," Westcott said. In New York, Marion Cherry grows the earliest blooming flowers. They bloom as early as February. "That's going to be a sign to me that this isn't going to last forever," Cherry said. "It will get better, and spring is on the way." And that's the Health and Lifestyle Report. I'm Anna Mateo.
And I'm Andrew Smith. You are listening to the VOA Learning English podcast. On today's Health and Lifestyle Report, Anna Mateo told about seasonal affective disorder. We have Anna here to tell us more about the report. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, and thanks for having me on your show.
Anna, your report said light could play a big part in the way we feel. Is that true?
That's right. Scientists have found that certain cells in our eyes turn the blue wavelength of the light into signals for the brain. These signals affect our mood and wakefulness, or alertness. Sunlight has a lot of blue light. So when the cells sense this blue light, our brains wake up. We feel more alert and possibly even happier.
That's all the time we have. Let's talk again soon, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
Hello, my name is Anna Mateo. My name is Jill Robbins.
And my name is Andrew Smith.
You're listening to the Lesson of the Day on the Learning English podcast. Today we begin Level 2 of Let's Learn English. In this lesson, Anna is working as a journalist. She learns many things about her new home, Washington, D.C. In the videos, the Professor Bot character explains the grammar of each lesson.
That is a funny little character, Professor Bott. Can you tell me about why he is in this series, Jill?
Yeah, we wanted to have more detailed explanations of the grammar in the main videos in this level. In level 1, as you know, we have 3 videos. One with the story, one for teaching the vocabulary and new grammar points, and a third for pronunciation. In level 2, we decided to make just one video, so Professor Bott appears in the breaks in the video to explain grammar.
In Lesson 1 of this Level 2, we hear about Anna's work life. So, there are a lot of words related to working and occupations. Let's listen to the first part. Listeners, see what work words you can pick out.
Oh, important meeting. Everyone must come. Well, back to work, and my boss has called a meeting. I wonder what it's about. Maybe we're all getting raises. Oh, there's Jonathan. Maybe he knows. So, Jonathan, what do you think today's meeting is about? The email sounded important.
Well, I have heard people in the building talking about budget cuts.
Oh, budget cuts? Wait, who has been talking about budget cuts?
Mark, in accounting.
Mark in accounting? That's one person. That's not people.
I know, but Mark knows everything that goes on at the studio.
That is true. Oh, wait, look at us. We shouldn't gossip. That's how rumors start. We'll just go to the meeting and see what happens.
No, you're right. No more talk about budget cuts.
If you were listening carefully, you would have heard one important word, meeting.
Yes, business people love those meetings. It's helpful to think about which verb we use with it. Call. We heard.
And my boss has called a meeting.
Right, we say we call a meeting. We've used the word boss before. In Anna's case, her boss or employer is Ms. Weaver.
Anna uses another work word when she guesses the meeting is to tell everyone they are getting raises. A raise is an increase in what you are paid, or your salary.
That's something we all like. Another phrase you hear is budget cuts. That is what happens when a business needs to spend less money than they usually do.
But remember, that was a rumor about budget cuts. A rumor is some piece of information people talk about without really having the facts.
Yeah, another word for rumor is gossip. That is often when people tell others unkind things about another person. It's not a good idea to spread rumors or to gossip or talk about things you are not sure about.
I agree. But let's find out what happens when the rumor spreads in the next part. Keep listening for those work-related words. You'll hear some names of jobs in this part.
Budget cuts? Oh, no. I just heard Anna and Jonathan talking about budget cuts.
That must be what the meeting is about. When there are budget cuts, people lose their jobs.
Not you. You're a good reporter.
And it's not you. You've done such a great job as a videographer.
I can't go back to being a detective. Criminals scare me.
And I can't go back to being a teacher. High school kids scare me. Penelope, have you heard the news? Today's meeting is about budget cuts.
That's awful. What should I do?
Update your resume. I've already updated mine. I'll see you at the meeting.
Let's see. The job names I heard were reporter, videographer, detective, and teacher. Did you hear any other work words, Andrew?
I heard Kaveh talk about updating a resume. That is a list of the skills you have and the jobs you have had. As you can hear in this first part, first, two co-workers, Amelia and Kave, then another, Penelope, happen to overhear this gossip. They get worried about losing their jobs.
I think they are worried because they heard Kave guess about the subject of the meeting.
That must be what the meeting is about. When there are budget cuts, people lose their jobs.
To lose a job means to no longer have it. And another expression we'll hear is to get fired.
That is the danger of rumors. They can make people worry. As you may remember, Penelope is Anna's friend who has moved to Washington, D.C. I think we should find out what's really happening in this meeting. Don't you, Jill?
Yes. Let's see what Ms. Weaver has to say.
Hello, everyone. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. This meeting won't take long. Then you can all leave. What is wrong with everyone? You look like I'm going to fire you. Seriously, what is wrong with everyone?
Excuse me, Ms. Weaver?
Yes, Hannah.
Well, everyone has been worrying about, we've been worrying that you're going to fire us.
I'm not going to fire any of you. No. The reason for this meeting is to tell you what a good job you've been doing. And give out your assignments. Budget cuts have been happening. But only one person has lost their job. Mark, in accounting? Now, let's talk about those new assignments.
She just wanted to praise them for doing their jobs well. Except maybe poor Mark in accounting. He may lose his job or get fired because of the budget cuts.
Let's review some of the jobs we heard about in this lesson. A reporter is someone who finds and writes about the news. Amelia tells Kave,
"You're a good reporter."
And we learned that Amelia is a videographer. That's someone who records and edits videos.
And it's not you. You've done such a great job as a videographer.
but she talks about a past job as a detective, a person who tries to find out about crimes. Usually this is a police officer.
I can't go back to being a detective. Criminals scare me.
And Kave used to work as a teacher. You all know about that job.
And I can't go back to being a teacher. High school kids scare me.
Now we have some work questions for you. What job do you have now or want to have if you are not working yet? Do you enjoy your job? Why or why not? You can email us at learningenglish@voanews.com or put your comments on our YouTube video for this podcast.
And it'll be great if you share the lesson of the day with your friends and family. Remember that you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening. I'm Andrew Smith.
And I'm Jill Robbins.
And that's our show for today. Join us again tomorrow to keep learning English on the Voice of America. I'm Katie Weaver.